Folks, at the right price, buyers will buy. I'll tell you what I experienced and then get into the latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending October 25th, 2023. Sometime beginning of October, I was driving through Richmond Hill and I got stuck in traffic. And normally in this area, in this neighborhood, at this time of day, there's no traffic. But I got stuck in traffic, and up ahead, I saw that there was a police officer directing traffic, and first thought that comes to my mind, maybe to your mind now, is must have been an accident. And whenever I see that, I'm thinking, oh, I hope it's nothing serious. But as we get closer, I could see that it had nothing to do with an accident, but it was the launch of a new project. This builder was launching a new project and had cars lined up on the street. The parking lot was full. They needed a police officer to direct traffic. It was so busy. And this is in a time when we've heard so many other launches have a dismal turnout, unsuccessful launch. This builder was doing something special. And it really boiled down to their price. They were selling pre-construction townhouses, freehold townhouses, at a price extremely competitive, beating out any other kind of launch like it in the area. And buyers lined up. They were ready to buy. So folks, the buyers are there, but price is something that you need to use in your arsenal of how do I attract the buyer. If you're not prepared, and this is not just a pre-construction conversation, this is also a resale conversation. If the buyers are coming and they're looking, but they're not buying, it could be the price. And any home at the right price will sell. You can have buyers lining up at the right price. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, if you're a seller right now in York Region, I have some really concerning news for you. News you definitely want to hear, especially when we talk about months of inventory. Your strategy to sell really needs to be on the money to get the job done. Let's get into it. We're going to start off with a quick summary. Now, this is for detached properties only, average sold prices for Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham post Labor Day, and I kind of got Labor Day marked off because pre-Labor Day were the summer months, July and August, things kind of quiet down. Post Labor Day, just the other side of Labor Day weekend, it's kind of like a revived real estate market. We see it almost every year, and so usually prices jump up. They didn't so much here. Now, Richmond Hill, prices are all over the place, and I'll get into that in more detail why when we get to the Richmond Hill chart. But Vaughan and Markham, you could see prices trending down overall post Labor Day. We're going to start off with Vaughan. 19 detached properties were sold. So since May, sales have been dropping down. We saw post Labor Day a quick uptick just for a couple weeks, but since then, sales have been trending down. 19 detached properties were sold. Only 2 sold at $2 million or more. I say only 2 because that's quite low if you look back. How many properties sell over $2 million in Vaughan? Well, in York Region in general. So 2 is quite low. Average sold price sitting at $1,617,000 on a weekly basis. Because sales are so low, and you do have quite a few properties at the $2 million and $3 million mark, you'll see average prices really bouncing up and down quite a bit. But the overall trend is that prices are trending down. 1,617,000. If you look back to the course of a whole year, there's not that many weeks where we were lower as far as average sold price goes. Compared to last year, 1,617 is 2%. Excuse me, it's 2% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. The median price, 1% higher than where we were this time last year. The median price for Vaughan is 1,550,000. 19 were sold, 47% sold at list price or more. And that trend, percentage selling at list price or more, has been trending up for a month now, for 4 weeks. How do you explain that? Well, be careful how you look into this percentage selling at list price or more. I like looking at it, and I want to be aware of how many properties are selling at list price or more, but it's not like the whole story on its own. For example, it's not necessarily that buyers are lining up and there's offer nights, although it could be for some. But if a property's been on the market sitting, could be for months and not selling, and at some point the seller says, enough, I've run out of time, I absolutely need to sell, and they relist at a much lower price, it could be the price that it sells for right away at the list price, or maybe a little bit more if a couple of buyers now find it attractive. So that's all it means. How many properties are selling at list price or more? 67 were listed. Now, listings did come down for detached properties, but post Labor Day, listings have been quite normal, or I shouldn't say normal, quite steady at a bit over 80, between 80 to high 80s every single week. This week they came down to 67. Active listings, the amount of detached properties available for sale, has been gradually trending upwards. Months of inventory sitting at 5 months of inventory. So we say that a balanced market is between 3 months and 5 months of inventory. This is right at the top end of that. I think you're going to find in lots of pockets of Vaughan, it's more of a buyer's market up top here. Months of inventory has been trending up. Here's Richmond Hill. 15 detached properties were sold. A third of those, 5, sold at $2 million or more. A third. Average sold price shot way up to $1,996,000. And this is the thing about Richmond Hill and how we should look about average sold prices. When volumes are high, sales volumes are high, the average tends to be more accurate. Now, when sales volumes are low or lower, a property selling in the high part, the high dollar value, or several properties selling in the low dollar value could really affect the price one way or the other. And that's what we're getting here. And that's why you get these big jumps and peaks and valleys. Anyways, average sold price is $1,996,000 of the 15 that sold. 1,996, it's a whopping 22% higher than where we were this time last year. The previous week, we were 14% lower than where we were this time last year. The median price is 14% higher than this time last year. 15 were sold, 40% of those sold at list price or more. Listings has been quite steady, not a big change in listings. 62 detached properties were listed. Active listings has been creeping up, and months of inventory sitting at 4.9. So Vaughan is 5, Richmond Hill 4.9, pretty much the same thing. Here's Markham. 17 detached properties were sold. I drew a straight line across 17. We've had that many selling in a week quite a few times now, or 16, 18. There's only a few weeks that were higher than 17. 3 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price, it's one of the lowest we've seen going back to the beginning of the year, $1,676,000, compared to the lowest month last year, which was September. We're lower than the lowest average price for September last year. 1676 is 4% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 1% higher than where we were this time a year ago. 17 were sold, 59% sold at list price or more. I think you'll find this is sellers pricing very aggressive. And listings has been post Labor Day. Listings have been trending down almost on a weekly basis. Active listings climbed up and has been pretty steady now over the last 4 weeks or so. And months of inventory is sitting at 4.2. Months of inventory for Markham has been trending up. Average price has been trending down. Here's condos. This is for all of York Region. 36 condos were sold. None of those were at $1 million or more. When you draw a line, 36, it's one of the better weeks. Especially we go back to the beginning of July. 36, we've got some lower ones here, 23, 24, but 38, 41. So 36 is a pretty decent week over the last few months. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. Average sold price, $688,000. $688 is 2% lower than where we were this time last year. The median price of $673 is also 2% lower than where we were this time a year ago. 8%, that's it. 8% of the 36 that sold at list price or more. So it's not a lot of competition when it comes to condos across York Region. And listings jumped up post Labor Day, then started coming down, and now they've been quite steady, around 120 every week for the last 4 weeks. Last week was 119. Active listings has been creeping up. Months of inventory sitting at 4.6 months of inventory. Very much a balanced market. And I know in some buildings that you go into, some of these apartments, condo apartments, there's lots of listings. So some individual condo apartments, many, I should say, will be more of a buyer's market because there's so much to choose from. Here's a quick summary of months of inventory. We're right on the border across the top here between 3 and 5 months, we say, is a balanced market. But I know there's pockets in each of these neighborhoods, many pockets where it's going to be more of a buyer's market. Strategy is so important. Who you hire if you're looking to transact right now is so important. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.